So I am in the middle of rearranging a bunch of stuff here in the garage, and look what just showed up. UPS freight. Clutch. Alright, let's do this. So we got the Rogue belt. Throw this in there. Just trying to move all of this inside as fast as possible.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, so we got the Rogue RHINO belt squat that just came in yesterday. I'm going to assemble it. I'm going to see how long it takes. So just for clarification, I actually have one of these belt squats at my gym on it where I am the head strength and conditioning coach. Now the only difference between this one and the one that I'm used to is the one that I'm used to is the upgraded version, which I believe is $2,750. And it also has a rack attached to it. Now this one is $1,750 plus shipping. Now this one is $1,750 and it comes with this piece right here where you're going to be loading on the weights. You'll have a platform and then these two uprights with another pair of uprights behind it that you move that acts as a lever system to catch the weight. And that might be a little confusing, but I'm going to put all this together. I'm going to show you how it looks. I'm going to give it a little test run. And at the end of this video, I'll give you an update on how long it took and how well it works. Oh my gosh. All right. So I knew I was missing one thing, and luckily I hadn't thrown away the pallet yet. This was still in the pallet, and I knew that I was missing something because, like I said, I've assembled one of these before, and this right here is the platform that you stand on. And as you can see, there's a ton of holes. And so what goes on top of those are like this big square for this area, and you bolt it in, and a big square for that area. And I knew from the boxes that I had that there's no way that it could have been in any of these. So I go outside and I check. Sure enough, we got them right here. That would have been terrible if I threw away that pallet. Yep. There you go. So these right here are what you stand on. Oh my gosh. That would have been so awful. Alright, so yeah. So now that I got everything here, it's time to start fully assembling everything. Let's do it. All right, now I'm gonna show you guys something that I think is gonna be very useful for you guys. This is something that I didn't learn until right now. So I had a really difficult time putting the one at the gym together because of this. All right, so what you're looking at here is this is the bottom of the belt squat. Now, this is the side where the arms are gonna go through for you to pull back and release the lever. Now, this bolt right here is really difficult to tighten. So what I found out right now is this is super easy. If you lift this belt squat up like this, put that in right there. So from there, hold this one right here, and then use this one, put it vertical, and then you're just gonna tighten this back piece until you can't tighten it anymore like this. And then once you can't do it anymore vertically, then go ahead and switch right here to this back piece. From here, you'll give it a couple of little twists. And it's so much easier when it's, you know, near eye level as opposed to when it's on the ground. All right, so I just got done tightening some pieces of equipment down, and in doing so, I found out that Rogue actually doesn't send all the tools in order to tighten everything down. So if you are going to get the RHINO belt squat, you will also need a 9/16 wrench and then 2 of these hex keys. Oh, so actually it's a 4mm and a 5mm hex key, and you will need those in order to tighten down these pieces. So you need the wrench to hold down that piece right there, that bolt, and then you need the 5mm hex key on this side for these ones. And that is right there to hold down the pulley system, which runs from there all the way up to the main piece. You also need that 9/16 wrench for the platform, for the base. So these right here are gonna go right around this entire base. This portion right here is squared up, so it fits right in there. Just gotta find the hole, push it down a little bit, and then you put that bolt on the other side. Press down and just tighten this up right here. That way your base is nice and secured. You put this lock in there and boom, it's done. It took me 1 hour and 39 minutes to put this entire thing together. Whew, that was fun. It wasn't that bad. It actually wasn't that bad. The RHINO belt squat with the rack attached to it, that one took us a really long time because that one's actually like really heavy. But 1 hour and 39 minutes, I stopped, got some yogurt, got a parfait that my wife made me, and then went back to work. So in total 1 hour and 39 minutes. Not bad. So it's 3:32, which means I have got to go to work. I've got a 4 o'clock session. And when I get back tonight, I'm gonna test this bad boy out. I've got some back squats that I'll be doing tonight, and then I'm gonna follow it up with a whole lot of work on the belt squat. I'm super excited to try this out and see if there's any differences between this one and the RHINO belt squat with a rack that we have that on it. All right, so I just finished up a squat workout, and it's been a couple of weeks since I received the Rogue RHINO belt squat, which is this bad boy right here. Now, I waited a couple of weeks because I really did want to try it out a little bit more. I already have a RHINO belt squat at the gym, but it's the one with the rack attached to it, so it's a little bit different. So I just wanted to make sure that there weren't too many differences between this one and that one, if there were any. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys down right here, and we're gonna talk a little bit about this bad boy. All right, now let me say, this right here is probably going to be the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to a belt squat. I think that this belt squat, the RHINO belt squat, is extremely similar and on par with your numbers from your actual max back squat, right? So if you back squat 400, you might be able to sway maybe like 430, 440, but there's not gonna be a significant difference between the two. Unlike some of the other companies that make belt squats. For example, the Pitch Shark, which has been known to allow you to load up 800, 900 pounds when your max is only 300. So I do think by far this is the most affordable, easiest option for people who want to buy a belt squat. Now, the difference between this version and a little bit more expensive one that we have at the gym at Onnit is that this version right here doesn't have the rack attached to it. Now, I will say that the one with the rack attached to it is $27.50, whereas this one's $17.50. I don't think that that one is a more superior belt squat because it has the rack, and I honestly don't think it's more versatile either because the rack is not really usable. I was just having a conversation with one of my clients the other day about how we never use that rack because it's pointless. So there's not enough room from where the uprights are, which are about right here, for you to put a bench right there, because the bench would run into the bottom of the platform, or for you to unrack your squat because your feet will hit up against the platform. So the uprights that are right here aren't the best option. You might be able to get away with squatting maybe out of the further in uprights, or maybe even doing some kind of rack pull variation. And I do think that that reason is going to be the only pro in terms of pros and cons between the two. Now let's go on to everything else. So the belt squat can be used for a multitude of things, and if you hold on to the end of this video, I'm going to do an exercise index, and what I'll do is I'll gap out in the video whether it's a belt squat, an RDL, a sumo RDL, cable rows. So I'm going to put a little exercise index towards the end of this video. So if you want, you can go ahead and fast forward and check those out. Now, one of the things that's really awesome about this belt squat, and if you buy any other belt squat on the market, make sure that you go to Rogue and you purchase their custom belt. Now, this belt, I've used a belt squat for probably 4 years now, and it typically comes with a Spud Inc belt. I thought it was awesome that Spud Inc redesigned their belt when they initially put out the Rogue RHINO belt squat. And what they did was, originally, this is the Spud Inc belt, and originally they only had this one loop. So, for example, the old belt squat I had, when my wife used it, I had to stack either 45s or I had wooden blocks built for her to step on, so that way she's a little bit taller. Because when this belt sits, it sat basically down to her knees, which didn't allow her the ability to get down to proper depth. Now, this is really cool. However, Rogue really outdid everybody who makes a belt for the belt squat by doing this one right here. Now, I don't know what kind of material this is, but this material is so rough, especially if you don't put it on right. It can pinch you, or this part right here can cut you. It's extremely uncomfortable for a lot of people. Now, what Rogue did is they made a lot more adjustments. So as you can see, it's a little bit smaller on the actual waist portion, right? So these belt loops are a little bit higher up. And then they put some kind of foam in there, so that way it's really comfortable, sits really comfortable on the hips. Personally, I think this is the best thing about this Rogue RHINO belt squat that I just got. So even if you decide to not get this belt squat, I highly recommend that you go and get this belt, because this will feel extremely comfortable on your hips. And I believe it's only $95 and you can buy it solo on Rogue's website. Now, moving on from this belt squat, along with a lot of the others, really, any belt squat that has a cable attached to it, which I believe is like the Westside Athletic Training Platform, who else? The Texas Strength Systems has one, an Elite FTS one. They all have this kind of cable system where the cable runs from here underneath all the way back up to here, right? It's a pulley system. Now, with this, as you can see in the exercise index, you can do a lot of things. It allows for a lot of opportunity just to be creative. You can do regular belt squats. You can do, of course, any kind of variation of that. Single leg, wide stance, any kind of variation. You can do jumps, so any kind of plyometrics that you want to get creative with. Belt squat walks, and that's just marching in place. And some of the more unique items that you can only do with the cable pulley system that's set up kind of like this is any kind of upper body work. So you can sit on the ground right here and you can do cable rows. You can do tricep extensions laying back flat on the floor. There's a lot of opportunity for you to be creative and use this as a pulley system if you don't have a low row or any other cable machine in your house. Now, another cool feature with this belt squat is it has band attachments to it. Now, accommodating resistance allows you to train a little bit heavier at the top of the movement. So if you're down here at the bottom in the squat, there's going to be less weight. And as you work your way up, the weight gets a little bit heavier. Now, all you do for this movement is you attach the band to the band peg in the back of the belt squat, and you pull that band up to the top of the weight rack where the weight sits. So this is another benefit, and I know a lot of companies that have this on their belt squat. So it's not a unique thing about the Rogue Rhino belt squat, it's just some more information about what you can do with the belt squat. Now, in terms of uniqueness, one of the things about the belt squat that allows you the opportunity to overload a little bit more weight is these handles that are right here. These handles will allow you to do something similar to a Hatfield squat, which is where you're holding on to the handles while you're squatting. This additional assistance from the upper body will allow you to squat and overload a little bit more weight. Whereas like the Elite FTS one, I believe one of theirs doesn't have a handlebar system, or the ATP from Westside Barbell. Those don't have handles on them, so it just decreases your ability to be a little bit more creative. Whereas something like this, the Mat Winning belt squat, the Squat Max MD, those all have handlebars on them, so you can do something similar to this. Okay, now another thing that I want to let you guys know, I'm not telling you to go do this. However, I want you to know that I am doing it. I did not bolt the belt squat down to the ground. I have loaded it up with quite a bit of weight, and nothing seems to be an issue with it. This is a 530-pound piece of equipment. It's really heavy, it's hard to put together, and I believe that especially when you're on the machine, because some of the people who are going to be squatting that 600-700 pounds, loading up the plates on here are a little bit heavier. I believe that while you're moving through the motion, your body weight on this side of the machine is enough counterweight and isn't going to cause this thing to flip over. Now, they do recommend for you to bolt it down. I just wanted to let you guys know that that's what I've done so far, and I haven't seen any issues. Because when I was deciding whether or not to get this, that was one of the things I was a little bit hesitant about, especially because we lease our house and I didn't want to, drill holes into this person's floor. So yeah, so just to recap, I honestly do believe that this Rogue Rhino belt squat is the biggest bang for your buck. I think it's the best belt squat out there for the dimensions and also for your ability to be creative and do a multitude of exercises. So in terms of square footage, if you're a garage gym owner, this doesn't take up much square feet and you can do a lot of things with it. And that's one of the things that you really want to be cautious of when you're building out your garage gym is what or how much you can do with one piece of equipment. All right, and that's my video of the Rogue Rhino belt squat. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you purchased the Rogue Rhino belt squat? Are you thinking about it? Did you end up going with a different company? And if you did, tell me why you think that one is a little more superior than this one. Now, if you guys simply came here for the exercise index on the belt squat, then I appreciate you guys sticking around. And here are some of the unique ways that you can use the Rogue Rhino belt squat.